vote on any of the items. We were just discussing about whether or not we have a quorum. We need to have 6 out of 11, and right now we have 5. So well, hopefully by the time we get to the items, we'll have a 6th member walk in. So thank you all for being here. And with that, JV,
Okay.
it's your show.
Thank you, Brian. So we'll postpone approving the agenda. Maybe we'll acknowledge the agenda.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. And we'll approve minutes in our next meeting or later. Public agenda. First thing is Shannon Wedge, Executive Director, American Red Cross of South Central and Southeast Kansas.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You get to go first. God, you're lucky.
Great.
Yeah. Are you going to another dad today too?
Well, thank you for letting me present. So at the American Red Cross, we do a national campaign. It's 3 weeks. It begins in April and it goes through May. It's called Sound the Alarm. And Wichita is one of 100 signature cities across the country. And we are going to be canvassing West Wichita. So that's why I wanted to come here to District 5, which is also my district. And I live here. But we will be canvassing the area where our rally site will be Town West Square. We're going to hit Orchard Park area, which I know is in the Cindy Clay Homes area. That Orchard Breeze, we're going to go to Country Acres and Westlink. And we're going to canvass. And what we do is we go door to door and we make sure that people are safe and that they have working smoke alarms. So as you can see on there, we want to get the word out that we offer this program. It is free, and we go over, where they need them. We need them by where you sleep, not outside where you cook necessarily, but we help them just make their home safer. If they have children, we talk about making a safety plan with your child, so they know where to meet you when they get out from the fire. We also talk about tornado safety as we're moving into that heavy season. So I also need volunteers. So our event is April 18th. As I said, we're going to meet at Town West Square. We train you. You go out in teams of 3 or 4 and you canvas. We have already pre-canvassed and we've hung door hangers so people know that we're coming, and we really encourage them to call us ahead of time so that we know that you're going to be home. We're going to come by and we're going to give those free smoke alarms in your house. So twofold. In there you have the free smoke alarms, and for those of you in the audience, I left some back there too. So please take this to your church, to any groups, and let them know this is a free program. But we will be in West Wichita, April 18th. The second flyer you can see is a recruitment flyer. So if you have a church group, I know it's prom night at May South, so you don't have to go to May South and advertise that. But if we would like any clubs or groups to come out and canvas with us, we need 150 volunteers to make this happen. Our goal is to install about 400 smoke alarms that day. So please come out and help us. Another thing I'd like to talk about is our need for DAT responders. So Disaster Action Team. Our chapter, which covers 21 counties, but obviously most of our fires occur in Sedgwick County, and we have responded to over 300. So anytime there's a fire and the fire department calls us, we need people that will go out to the fire scene and meet with the client right then and there, and we give them a client assistance card. So the third flyer you see there is our need for Disaster Action Team members. So please just help us spread the word about that. We really need people that are willing to be on call, and you may not get a call, but sometimes we have several fires in one night. So it just kind of depends. But we do need people that are willing to go out to the scene of the fire and meet with those people that need immediate assistance. So what questions do you have about this program or what we do?
Questions from the board or the audience?
Shannon, have I shared information about Country Acres Neighborhood Association, Westlink Neighborhood Association?
I looked on the website and
Okay.
I am planning to reach out to them. I noticed some of them have Facebook groups.
Yeah,
But if you have, go ahead.
Westlink Neighborhood Association has a meeting on March 17th at
Okay.
West Heights United Methodist Church at
Okay.
7. And Country Acres has one on April 14th at Westlink Library. And that's at 6:30.
Okay, perfect.
So
Yeah,
those might be good to appear at.
that would be great. Yeah, and the Red Cross overall, we've installed over 1 million smoke alarms in this program. It's a great program. We also document where we go in and install the alarms, so we can say that we've saved over 620 lives because of this program as well. So thank you for helping us make our
Thank
community
you.
safer and partnering with us. And what you can do is just share the post, and please take these flyers. I can get you electronic copies as well.
Thank you, Shannon. And can we have we don't need a motion to receive files, we can't do that. How about, updates from Brian?
Just a couple of quick things. Next week, the council, 6 of us are going to DC. It's our annual pilgrimage to the Hill. We visit not only our electeds, our national electeds, Estes, and we'll visit Marshall and Moran and Roberts. We also make visits with the EPA, DOT, other agencies. These are things that, we need help with from a federal earmark standpoint, and whether it's our WIFIA financing for water treatment to the parking garage that we're gonna be building at the stadium, which we got the $14 million grant from DOT, so just kinda continue to make those asks. We have a wastewater treatment plant that we're gonna need to build in South Wichita here in the next 4 years, and so trying to, again, keep those dollars flowing. And so 6 of us will be there, and then, so no council meeting next week, because we'll all be in DC. Getting ready to get heavy into the budget and capital planning for the next year. We have a couple of retreats coming up. We also have an en banc, it's a shared meeting with the county, to get the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan, final presentation. And then hear an update on, possible joint consolidation for fire. There's nothing set, there's nothing determined on either plan, Riverfront or fire, but just get those updates. So, a lot of important meetings still to come, so. Does anyone has any questions for me? Cool.
No questions? Okay, thank you. So we'll go to our fire department report.
Captain Lee with Wichita Fire Department. Citywide, we had 9 fires in the month of February, 1 in District 5. That ended up being an accidental fire. It was an unattended candle in a teenage bedroom. She left it unattended. Damage is pretty minimal on that, smoke damage throughout the house. That's all we had in District 5. Things we're working on right now, we started our building inspections for businesses. I know I did about 15 today. We basically check exit lighting, fire extinguishers, make sure the exits are clear for egress in case of fire, miscellaneous things like that. We're also started and initiated our hydrant inspections here, make sure all of our hydrants are working good out the winter, so you'll see us out doing hydrants and buildings. You have any questions?
Okay. Any questions? Nope, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Move on to police.
Officer Hopwood, 316, 16B, representing 16B, 19B, 199B. Those are the statistics we'll talk about first, and we're just going to go year to date on these stats. Everything is trending in the wrong direction right now, but it's very early in the year, so we still have a chance to go towards the average itself. From my being on 16, violent crime is down 63%. That's the only good thing. But the numbers are very small so far. Violent crime, 3 this year, was 8 last year. Property crime is up 31%. That's 76 versus 58. So total Part 1 crime is up 20%. The drivers of bad news, I guess. Burglaries are up 300%. Again, these are fairly small numbers, 8 versus 2. That's concerning on 16B. Those are residential burglaries, almost all of them. And larceny is up 34%, 55 versus 41. Note on that is 24 of those are in the area with the epicenter around St. Francis Church School. So we'll talk about some things we're doing to address that right now. 199B, no change on violent crime year to date, 5 versus 5. Property crime up 35%. 85 versus 63, and 32% total up crime beat, violent crime's up 500%. Again, small number, 6 versus 1. Those are all aggravated assaults. Property crime up 53%, 132 versus 86. And total up 50%, 138 versus 92. Drivers of the crime, again, ag sold 6 versus 1, and larceny up 63%. So, what are we concentrating on? Larcenies. Larceny from auto, basically, is what we're talking about. There are some shoplifts. Other larcenies mixed in, but a lot of these are larceny from autos. Some of them are larceny of auto accessories. That's where you have, normally nowadays, it's an auto tag that's actually attached to the vehicle. So we're doing some undercover assignments on that starting last week. Marked unit as well in the area. We have the crime analysts that we have are putting together warrants, a list of warrants and people that have warrants for theft. So we're starting that this week. We're trying to round those up, and we're putting out the license plate reader vehicle about 4 hours a day to see if we can't locate auto thefts. Auto thefts are still a problem as well. Catalytic converters are a particular problem. We've had 32 stolen in West Bureau this year versus 1 last year. And auto tags, 72 stolen year to date. And that's, again, one of the 3. That's actually West Bureau, not just the 3 beats. Catalytic converters, same thing. 32 is not the 3 beats, it's West Bureau. I gave you 2 different flyers. One is for the Wichita Organized Retail Crime Coalition. That's for small business owners or business owners in general. How do they join? There's some information on the flyer for that. This is a group that basically an information sharing group for folks that are coming in and stealing and whatnot. And then another flyer for March into Safety. What's the date on that? March 5th, so it's here in a couple days. 4:30 to 7 at South High. Everybody's invited, or anybody's invited, public. Wichita Wagon Masters are providing the bill for that. And pending any questions, that's all I have.
You had mentioned you'd get back to the St. Francis School and Church.
It's kind of the epicenter. So you're looking at about a quarter-mile circle around that. So it picks up that whole car park, medical Genesis area there on Socorro, as well as across the street is 8405 West Central Apartment Complex. It also goes across Tyler into the neighborhood on about 1100 north, just west of Tyler there. And then a lot of them are right there at St. Francis.
So what should people be doing? Kind of
Same
advice?
thing, it's like a broken record, that things are out of sight, cars are locked up. And that's about it. You know, that would solve so many of them. It would also solve, with auto tests, it would solve a lot of them, or, we would minimize them just by cars not being left running. So whenever we're out, we're also addressing that as well.
I'm gonna show my ignorance here, but what is the value of a catalytic converter? Why are they doing
A lot. It has some kind of a precious metal in it that makes it very expensive, or you can get a lot of money at a scrapyard for it. And we're talking thousands.
Oh, wow.
1, 2, 3,000, something like that. It depends on what they steal. I'm not a car guy, so I couldn't tell you, but yeah, they're easy to steal. You just get underneath the car, a couple cuts, and they've got a catalytic converter.
Can't remember the platinum.
Platinum?
I think so. I think Hondas are the most, which is more expensive than gold.
Please.
Doesn't take much, but it's.
Expensive to replace.
Yeah.
Yeah, very expensive.
Mhm.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
Most of those catalytic converter thefts occur at night.
No, surprisingly, it's all times of the day and night. I don't have the chart here to show it, but, yeah, some of them are, but, we just had two over at Treetop, which actually it would not be 32, it would be 34. Now Treetop out at 400 North Maze, they took them out of two of their buses or their big transport vehicles, and I think it was like 5:30 in the morning. So, yeah, that's still early morning, but they're doing it in broad daylight too.
Great. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you. Dave McGuire, Parks and Recreation.
So yes, as JB said, David McGuire with the Park and Recreation Department. So, the mowing season is starting to come around already. It's starting to warm up. It looks like it's going to stay warm here in March and stuff. So everything's going to start growing. So we're getting ready to get geared up for mowing. We've been taking new bids and so forth for the next 3 years for mowing and our grounds maintenance program and so forth. So other than that, I don't have a lot of park stuff to talk about. I would like to introduce, or you have it on your table, the new magazine brochure that we're using for City Arts, Parks and Recreation, and the Wichita Public Library to work together in promoting all of our programs. And so instead of having separate brochures from all three agencies, we now are working on trying to put it all into one so that when people thumb through here, they can say, hey, there's an event over at Tracy's Library, or there's an event down at City Arts. So we've had to condense our information a little bit to share space and so forth, but this will be our new magazine that we'll be putting out to promote all of our recreation programs. It's still got a lot of cool stuff in it. If you thumb through it, I'm sure you can find something to do at one of the libraries down at City Arts or one of our recreation centers. And of course, we got spring break stuff coming up, camps and that kind of stuff. I know Tracy's got some information she's going to share about libraries that are in here. So Evolve, that's our new brochure we're putting out. A lot of cool stuff in there. I don't have too much else. We don't have any real special events coming up other than spring break stuff for kids. So I don't really have too much to share on the recreation programming side of things. So any questions or comments?
You guys hosted a job fair for the Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
How was that?
Actually, it was pretty good. We estimated we had about 350 people come to the job fair. And on my part of it, about park maintenance and forestry, we got about 20 good names out of there that we're going to follow up with, which I have about 20 part-time seasonal positions that I hire for. So if I fill all 20 of those, we've had a successful night, And in our golf program, our recreation program, they got a lot of names from it. So hopefully we fill a good number of our part-time seasonal. So we think it was a success. Did we have 1,000 people come to it? No, but maybe next year, now that we're, if we do it again, maybe it can grow, So, yeah, I was thrilled for getting some good quality names of people that we can follow up with and maybe hire. So, yep. Anything else?
You might talk about NASCAR Park opening.
Yes, the ribbon cutting for NASCAR Park is scheduled for March 12th, starting at 5 o'clock. It's going to go through the evening. I think there's some music planned and some fireworks are planned, some other activities prior to. So if you want to come down and check out NASCAR Park, they're working as fast as they can to get it finished up. There's still some work to be done, but we're shooting for March 12th, and I guarantee it's going to be a nice evening. There's not going to be any weather to deal with. It's going to be a perfect night. I'm counting on it, So, and then the park will be open for being used. I know there's St. Patrick's Day celebration already scheduled for the 13th over there. So you can come and hang out at NASCAR Park. we're wanting to keep it programmed, we're wanting to keep it active. So, we have positive things going on at that park all the time. So, there'll be a lot of, fun stuff coming up. Anything else?
Good.
All right.
Dave, thanks. Appreciate it. Tracy? Library report.
Hi, I'm Tracy Partridge. I'm the manager of the Westlake Branch Library, and as always, it's great to be here. One of the first things that I actually wanted to talk about is 3D printing. Does anybody actually have a 3D printer at home? Has anyone ever utilized a 3D printer? One person has, yay. Okay, so at the Advanced Learning Library, they are actually offering 3D printing services, and in order, well, customers can utilize them. You actually have to go through a certification process in order to participate. It's a 3-part certification process. The first class is actually going to be on Tuesday, March 10th at 6 at the Advanced Learning Library. But it's a really cool opportunity to see how 3D printers work and then to actually get the skills so that you would be able to make something yourself. And the next thing that I wanted to mention is, as David mentioned, we've got the spring break programming that's coming up, and that is actually March 16th through 20th. With the Evolve Guide, a lot of those programs are really March 23rd through May, so not everything the library is doing for spring break is actually in there. So if you are interested in seeing what the Wichita Public Library is offering for spring break, then what I would encourage you to do is go to our website at wichitalibrary.org and then go to the events section. Part of our spring break week will start actually accepting applications for our summer teen volunteer program. So if you have a teenager who is entering grades 8 through 12 in the fall, we would love it if they would participate. We accept probably around 100 teens. And what they have to be able to do is do a 6-week commitment during the summer, which is from May 26th through July 24th. Because when they're doing this, they're running our reading incentive programs. They sign all the kids and teens up for our reading incentive programs. They distribute prizes, they help with activities that we do. So that's when they have to be able to volunteer their services. They also have to be able to volunteer roughly 2 to 6 hours a week. So that's like at least 1 2-hour shift a week. So if they are interested in doing that and have a team who is willing to do that, Friday, March 20th is actually when we'll start accepting applications. The 16th is actually when the application will be on our website for the first time. And with that, what you do need to know is like certain locations they fill up fairly quickly. Westlake is one of the libraries that actually fills up very quickly. So another thing that I wanted to mention is just some activities that we're having at the Westlake Branch Library in March. One is actually we're going to have a historical interpreter. Her name is Diane Bernheimer. She's going to be coming this Saturday on March 7th at 2:30. She is actually going to be portraying Carrie Nation. She is going to have a hatchet. Hopefully everything's going to be okay with the library, which it is, but it should be exciting. And that program is called All Nations Welcome Except Carrie. Another thing that I wanted to mention is if you do have teens, individuals between the ages of 14 and 17, on Tuesday, March 10th at 6:30 at the Westlake Branch Library, we're going to do an ACT, SAT prep tools program. We're just going to let people know some of the things that we actually have at the library. We have something called Learning Express Library where people can take sample tests so that they can start building their skills. We're highlighting the ACT, SAT, but there's a lot of exams that are actually available through that service. And because no teen program is complete without food, we're going to have food. Okay? So brain food is going to be available in Tuesday. And then the final thing that I want to mention is on March 26th at 6:30 at the Westlake Branch Library, we're going to have a program on the 2020 census. Jason Dean, who's a Kansas partnership specialist with the United States Census Bureau, which is incredibly hard to say, will be coming at 6:30 just to answer questions about the census, what it is, how you can do it, why it is so incredibly important. And it actually determines like funding and streets and emergency services and representation in government and all sorts of things. So it's incredibly important. Does anybody have any questions?
Remind me when the SAT, ACT thing
That one
classes.
is actually going to be on Tuesday, March 10th at 6:30.
10th at you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. I
Tracy?
really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay. So, can we receive and file those reports, Ken?
Public Works.
Public Works, oh yes, Public Works. How can I forget?
All right, my name is James Wagner. I'm gonna be representing the seventh floor engineering public works department, what we have going on for public works projects. So what we're waiting to do here right now is we've got, maybe May to start up our maintenance projects again. That'll be on arterial roads. Some of those are Central, Tyler, Mays roads. May will be when they start up, and then the 2020 program. That's finishing up 2019's program. 2020 program is gonna be starting in around the third quarter of the year. There's quite a few that get done on that. If you have any questions on that, I have a map and everything that we can go into detail on what's gonna happen with those. Stuff that's coming up new in design, our aquatic master plan, which includes, pool reconstruction, rehab, that type of work, is gonna be coming in 2 different phases, and also we have splash pads. So phase 1 is gonna be pools. We have McAdams, Ailey, and Orchard, pools to get rehabbed. The bid opening on that is supposed to happen in March 20th, as of right now. We expect that to hopefully go better than the last time. Splash pads, is Boston, Edgemore, and Evergreen Parks. The bid opening for those is looking at March 27th. Questions on those? I'm not fully addressed on how much we're doing to those. I know the plan was changed after a little bit, but those should be pretty nice once we get done with those. So.
Yeah, basically, we only had one bidder,
Yeah.
for the project, and we were trying to do maybe too much in too short of a time frame.
It was definitely.
And it came in way more than what we had budgeted. So we thought it'd be best to step back, lengthen the time frame, and see if we can't get some better bids. And so that's the idea. So it's gonna delay all of it. The idea though, we would still start McAdams this year, since it's closed now, and that work's gonna take a while. And then Alien Orchard would be open this year, but as soon as the season is finished, then that construction would start. So basically, instead of a 2-year plan, now it's a 3-year plan. And we're gonna have to find a little bit more capital probably, to be able to do everything that we wanna do. I think the council agrees that, this is a project that we need to do right. And we don't wanna shortchange, or do less than what we promised. We wanna make sure that not only are these pools and water playgrounds very attention grabbing, but they also have great curb appeal, so that people see that they're been rehabbed, and that there is an attractive facility to go to. Some of the pool houses are very dated and need some extra TLC, so it's a combination of Park and Public Works, and Public Works is taking the lead on the bids and getting it all final.
Yeah.
But-
So we had no clue that it would come in quite as high as it did. It nearly doubled what we thought it was gonna come in, so. Anyway,
It really was a matter of trying to do too much, too fast.
we think that's a big portion of it. I think a lot of the stuff was redesigned to hopefully give us a more price comparative option. Also be able to address everywhere, so.
But we're not doing anything less than what we promised. It's
Yeah.
still gonna be 6 pools that are gonna be open when it's all said and done, and one of those is reopening McAdams Pool.
Yeah.
And then we'll have 2 additional splash pads in new parks that we've never had before, Harrison and Plainview. So at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be a better plan. And hopefully, these water playgrounds, each one's going to be different. It's not cookie cutter, they're all,
Right. It's got a theme to them.
yeah, and unique and singular. So, we're really excited about it. Some really good thought is put into it.
So next item we have here is the Hoover Bike Path. I think, people are fairly familiar with that. What that does is it gives you a street crossing on Zoo Boulevard next to Sedgwick County Park, and then goes up Hoover along the east side of Hoover. Right now, we're working to finalize to get a finalized agreement with the K&O Railroad. There's a few hurdles that we have to do in order to do that, but we cross the tracks as soon as you get over on the north side of Zoo Boulevard. And then, once we get that, then we can start to proceed. We're planning on splitting the project into two parts. One is bidding the intersection and crossing the tracks. The intersection, when I say intersection, lighted signalized intersection there on Zoo Boulevard. And then we have to cross the tracks with that, because part of the signalization requires dealing with the railroad. So, hopefully, summer, fall time area right now. You're a little bit in flux when you're dealing with the railroad. They might take 30 days, they might take 9 months. It's hard to say sometimes, but we're hoping to. They've been really good to work with so far. So we're seeing we have our first agreement that was submitted. So we need to go over that in law. Then we'll move forward.
Are you, excuse me, are you gonna straighten that out, Hoover? Straight to 21st?
No.
No? Still curve around?
No, we're not buying the right of way to do that. There's
Okay.
properties that you'd have to acquire in order to do that.
To do that?
We looked at that actually. It might be something that we could do in the future. But right now, it's not one of the options that we have.
Okay.
Yeah. That was brought up at our last meeting that we looked at trying to actually do something like that. But currently, that's not an option. Might be in the future.
It would make sense.
It would, it just deals more with the railroad. And so part of getting permits to do something like that becomes a little more of a struggle. And so if we want to do that in the next year, then probably it's not gonna happen. So, next project we have 13th and Azure, or from Azure to 135th. It's a new 3-lane road. Bid opening is supposed to take place on April 3rd. So that's coming up. Construction will probably be starting at the beginning of May. 29th of Mays, we're planning on taking bids this Friday for that. So hopefully that comes in really nice. Looking forward to getting that one started. That one's going to be in conjunction with the Quick Trip that's going to be building out there as well. So there'll be a lot going on right there on that corner. It will inconvenience traffic pretty extensively for a little bit. So hope that everybody understands that. Some of the other projects we have going on, we have a 37th and Tyler signal that we're looking at adding. I'm working through our finance group to get some of our signals ordered. Signals are taking a long time to get in place, taking close to 6 months between the time you order and the time they actually show up. As part of the steel industry right now, they're just so far backed up that there's really not any way that you can speed that up any at all. So we're looking at hopefully having those signals up and running start of school next year. 37th sidewalk Ridge to Ridgeport. We're looking at getting some easements and right of way for one property on there, and then starting possibly sometime this year being able to use our arterial sidewalks fund to add that sidewalk out there this year. 37th Street lighting, Mays to Ridge Road. We're still looking at sometime in the spring. It depends on Evergy's schedule, but Evergy will have lighting that goes out there sometime this year, hopefully, before too terribly long. Spring is what they have on their schedule right now. Or any emergencies that should still take place. In 37th and Rutgers, there's a drainage area out at 37th and we do have a right-of-way issue out there that we need to get done, and the city is owning and maintaining the rest of that right-of-way out there. So in order to get something done out there, we gotta do something with that. So I don't have anything else other than that. Any questions? Zoo and Hoover, we'll be adding, there's kind of a little jog in Hoover Road right there, and we'll be adding a signal there where Zoo and Hoover intersect, so that people can exit out onto Zoo Boulevard. And then from there, we go north up to some of the newer subdivisions that have got bicycle paths built out. So we'll be adding a 10-foot bike path that connects from the Sedgwick County Park area across Zoo Boulevard. Yes, a signalized crossing at Zoo Boulevard, and then up all the way to K-96 for the bike path. So, most of that's in place from 29th onto the north. There's a couple gaps that we have to fill in, but then the rest of it will be adding a 10-foot path on the east side of the road where there's nothing now. Anything else?
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can take the next one.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll take the next one.
Yeah, so the next one is called Keepers on Parade. And for those of you in the audience that don't know, Together Wichita, which is a group that has been doing a lot of good things in Wichita, they've created smaller versions of the Keeper on the Plains statues throughout town. They've helped build a dog park at Harrison Park and some other quality of life projects in the city. They're partnering with W, which is an arm of the Chamber of Commerce, and they are going to, and this is for Wichita's 150th anniversary, which is next summer. They are dedicating 12 keepers throughout the city, 2 in each district, actually 13 keepers, I apologize. 13 keepers, 2 in each district, and then 1 for the mayor to determine where it gets located. There will be 2 in our district, 1 at Buffalo Park and 1 at Proc Wetlands. And a couple of weeks ago, Park Department met and visited with some different artists and selected the artists that are going to be doing these keepers. And I'd like to introduce Delilah Reed, right here in the front row. Got that right, correct?
Great.
And Josh Jonico. Delilah is going to be doing the keeper at Proc Wetlands, and Josh is going to be doing the one at Buffalo Park. And so they're going out and meeting with folks and trying to, get our ideas and thoughts about what the keepers might have. I'm sure they already have some ideas as well. I'm going to let you quickly introduce and maybe say a little bit about your background, each one of you, and why you think you got selected for this project. And go ahead, Delilah.
Shall I?
Yep.
Hello, I'm Delilah Reed. I'm a local artist, illustrator, muralist in town, and I have done about roughly 10 murals around town, some at WSU, a lot in collaboration with Avenue Art Days, and so if you see a bright, colorful bug or something really cheery and happy, I might have done it. Recently, over the summer for Clifton Square, I got to do a keeper already, and it is located in the back corner by Dempsey's. And it is bright blue and just covered in flowers with a real, graphic, kind of 70s, 60s vibe to it. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but you should go take your picture by it. So I'm very excited and honored to get to be selected to do the keeper, where I'll be doing it because I really like the wetlands part an awful lot. I'm kind of a birder, so I like to go out there and see what kind of birds and wildflowers I can find. So that's all I think I have to say. I will be taking any sort of gentle suggestions on what you would like to see.
So if you,
Incorporated in it.
yeah, so if you've been out to Proc Wetlands and maybe your experience or what you've seen out there that might be worth sharing with Delilah. Anyone? Oh, come on, you guys are normally talking.
No feral cats.
You want to throw a cat? Is that
No,
No.
it's an inside joke.
I'm gonna just go ahead and write that on here.
No, don't.
Do you have an idea of what you were wanting to put on it? So what were you thinking?
My desire, I really like the one that I've done previous, and I also know that I can get it done within the time frame allotted, is to do something very similar. My artwork is quite recognizable, and if somebody sees it, they'll be able to say,
some birds to put in, maybe some.
I do think that at the very top birds would be very nice. I think that any birds that really resonate with anybody can go out there. I know I've seen a few blackbirds that I was pretty excited about, and some what are they called? They got a silly name. I can't remember.
So the nice thing about that park is I've seen just a variety of different things. I've seen pheasant, turkeys, all kinds of ducks, all kinds of waterfowl.
Yeah.
So depending upon the time of day, this is the good spring weather, they're starting to come back around, so there's just an awesome variety of things. You're not limited to just any couple of varieties, there's quite a bit. All I ask is that it's not an unfinished product, like the park. It's still a work in process, project, so.
It will be fully covered and rich and delightful, I'm sure. Yeah, so I think that's it for me. Josh, you wanna come up?
Is there a photographer that takes pictures out there?
So there's
The
been
birds?
there have been a lot of people that have been spending a lot of time out there. The Wichita Wild, which is a nature group, Audubon Society, Ducks Unlimited. There's a lot of groups that love that park because of the migration that happens through there. A lot of people on the weekends you can see out there with cameras all on it. So, and there's other animals out there too. I mean, there's muskrats. I've seen a variety of things. So.
So maybe you connect with some of those people that take pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely.
The different things that go out there.
I really like the things that are out there. I'm very excited about that park.
So Josh, tell us a little bit about you.
All right, I'm Josh Jonico, local artist / local janitor. That's why I'm dressed like this. I started painting about 5 years ago. I do portraits, abstract art, and just slowly been getting a little bit of recognition here and there. Like her, I've worked with the Douglas Design District and painted a couple of murals. I was painting just random things. My mom, a Native American, she said you need to start doing some Native American art, and it seems as soon as I did that, kind of took off a little bit. I've done shows in Oklahoma City, and I work with the Choctaw Nation. So, I don't know, I was just really happy to be able to paint with the keepers. Growing up, I always looked at the keeper and felt motivated and inspired by it, you know? I just kind of grew up kind of poor and didn't have a father. My mom would say, that was you, the keeper, so I always thought that was me. So I'm just really happy to be able to get a chance to paint one. And I go to Buffalo Park with my kids. I have 5 kids who are also in the so it's gonna be cool to have it there where we can see it too.
Have they spent some time at the splash pad?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been to the splash pad at Buffalo Park. We got the giant buffalo head, and then the big weed stalks that emit the water. So it's kind of in that theme already a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So
I've done a keeper before that was very abstract, but also figurative. So I have plans to kind of recreate that same idea, but it's very open where I can incorporate just about any idea that needs to be put there. Hoping to do something with buffaloes, and also to do something to honor Black Bear Poston, the original artist of the keeper plans. Maybe even paint a portrait somewhere inside of it. So.
that was the only sculpture piece he ever created.
Yes, he's an amazing painter though. So.
Yeah. It's the only sculpture he ever did. He was a fantastic painter, you're right.
But this was very nerve-wracking, and I did it. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
So anything that you want to say about Buffalo Park? Anything that you've seen out there that
So
you
is it,
experienced out
it'll be
there?
next to the splash pad?
Don't know that we've got the exact location.
Okay. How tall, how big are they?
10-foot tall. Is there a pedestal that they're on too, or is it?
They're just, and it's a part of the height.
It's part of it, yeah.
It's kind of pedestaled up, and then normally, the company that Together Wichita works with, they actually come and lay out, concrete for whatever fits best. So if it needs to be pedestaled up even higher, they'll lay out that concrete for you.
So you're gonna paint it while it's standing up?
I did, cause I have an apartment studio that has like 16-foot height walls, but a lot of artists have to lay them out or put them in their garage and stuff.
What is the structure made out of?
It's a fiberglass, so it's only about 50 pounds. So
50?
yeah, and so I was able to carry it in and out of my apartment and then out the door with assistance of one person.
Wow.
Since you know more than I do, can you use
Congratulations for getting selected.
Yeah, that's
Thank
awesome. How did you guys, was there like a nomination
There
process
was-
and then selection or?
Yes, so they put it out, a call for artists, whoever wanted to enter it could. And then they also had which was really nice, I think, for a lot of artists who are a little intimidated by the project, that they did like a, hey, this is how these are done, this is the process, this is the material that typically is used, this is, and then this is how you apply for it. So I think 60 artists in total applied for the project, and.
Were they all local?
I don't know, I'm assuming yes, it seems like
Yeah, I
local
think
would
they
be
were.
kind of a first top priority for
Cool.
it, but, so out of 60, 13 were selected. I'm very proud and happy to say that I think that about 9 of the 13 are friends of mine or people that I know of, so.
So the other parks, I didn't tell you, District 1, Dr. Dye Park, which is over at 27th and Hillside, used to be called Grove Park. Fairmont Park, which is over by Wichita State. Eastview Park, which is by Coleman Middle School. Stryker Sports Complex, which is K96 in Greenwich. Plainview Park, which is down South Oliver. Platt Park at Harry and Oliver. West Douglas Park, which is there at West and Douglas. Osage Park, which is down at 31st Street South and Meridian area. Buffalo and Croc Wetlands, and then Manissa Park, which is over by North High, and Orchard Park, which is like 9th and West. So variety throughout the city. We've already got several of these throughout downtown. This is a way to spread the keeper love throughout the rest of the city. So, and it's a fantastic gift from Together Wichita. They've helped us find the artists, and so this will all be complete by next year. What was the timeline? Did they?
We're supposed to be done by June and then.
This year. Yeah.
So you get $1,000.
Yep, the artist consistently, no matter what the project is, always have a stipend of $1,000.
How much per hour is that?
Not
Not much.
Right.
I don't know,
You don't wanna
but I
calculate it.
normally, for my art, I charge 55 an hour, so I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
It's a nice
But
service you're doing.
It's well worth it
Yeah.
and something to be very prideful of to get to do.
So when it gets closer to the unveiling and everything, we'll make sure everybody on the DAB knows so we can attend them and support their work. So look forward to it.
Good for you. Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
We get back to work, thank you.
But you can stay for zoning case if you want.
Sounds exciting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Food System Master Plan, is that you?
It's me.
Congratulations.
Hey, in addition to sitting over there during these meetings and taking minutes, for my job, I'm also working with the Health and Wellness Coalition, the county, and other community partners on the Food System Master Plan. So if you haven't heard about this yet, it means we need to step up our public engagement. The purpose of the Food System Master Plan is to basically create a long-range planning document that will do any of these several things, right? Foster profitable agriculture and food business in the city and the county. Support entrepreneurs in agriculture and food, create jobs and opportunities, increase access to healthy and nutritious food, support skills in gardening, food prep, protect soil, the environment, reduce food waste, celebrate diversity in our food culture, and then empower all to participate in the food system. And we'll get to exactly what all the food system entails here in a little bit. But why do we need one? Why do we need a master plan for our food system? Well, here are just 3 highlights for just why. In Sedgwick County, residents spent $1.6 billion on food in 2018. So if we found a way to make just 5% of that local, that would be an estimated $80 million circulating through the county each year, right? If we could just increase by 5%. We also look to see how much food we're producing locally. Of the eggs that we consume, only about excuse me, starting with the chicken, we consume only about 0.0008% is produced locally, and of the eggs, 0.4%. In total, we produce only about 0.7% of the vegetables we consume and 0.2% of the fruit. So there's room for growth, right? And approximately 25% of Wichitans don't have access to healthy food. That's 44 square miles in the city that's considered a food desert. There's a handout in front of you that looks like this, because you probably can't read what this says. But these are just some ways, you don't have to look closely at all of them, but some ways that these different entities can support the food system through a master plan. For example, things city government can do: adopt food and farm-friendly land use policies and zoning, right? Invest in food system entrepreneurs with loans or grants, support skill and technical training opportunities in food and farming. So there are several different options there you can look at. Just some ideas, right? This isn't a list of things that the master plan will entail, but they're ideas, essentially. So it goes on the back side of that form. This lays out the timeline for the steering committee. They've been working since last fall, and right now is the community engagement phase. So that's what this meeting is part of. What we'll be doing through April is collecting feedback in a few different ways. One of those ways is by presenting in meetings like this and getting some of your feedback. And in fact, Shelley is here from the Health and Wellness Coalition to record some of your feedback. We also have a landing page on the city's website, so wichita.gov/food plan. There, you can take a survey, you can leave feedback in the form of comments, and we'll be gathering all this information in addition to a couple of community engagement meetings that are specific to topics that we're tackling, and we'll get to some of those dates for those meetings here in a second. But we're going to compile all of this data over the next several months and use that to actually write a master plan recommendation. So that the key findings in plan writing will happen through September, and then sometime fall and winter, that will be presented by the steering committee to City Council. So now's where we ask for your help with this. One of the ways you can help is by taking that survey. At last check, we had just over 1,000 respondents, and we are missing a lot of key demographics in that survey. So we want you to not only take it yourselves, but encourage everyone you know that either eats, buys, or grows, prepares food in Sedgwick County to take the survey as well. If you have other thoughts that aren't covered on that survey, there's a place on the website where you can click and share a comment, and we'd love for you to share those comments there as well. And then, like I said, we'll have a few more community meetings, 3 more community meetings, and the dates for those will be up on a later slide. Okay, so now a question for you all. What challenges do you experience in the food system right now? And that is everything from growing, transporting, to buying, cooking, eating, even disposing of food in Wichita. These are things that maybe you and your family face, or things that you witness. Anything that you can think of.
Does this take in plastic bags versus paper?
This probably doesn't deal with plastic bags.
Are you asking about the organic version versus the store-bought version, or what are you asking?
So when you think about the food system, what challenges do you see out there for Wichita?
Buying.
What's that?
Buying. The amount of food deserts we have in this area is laughable.
Yes, yeah. There's, like that study showed, 44 square miles of food desert seems like a lot in this city.
Cost.
Yeah, that's a comment that has come up quite a bit in the survey we've noticed so far, just the price of food. What about when you think about accessing locally grown food? Do you know where to get it or how? Does anyone here do any like gardening or growing?
Sometimes I think that homeowners association rules prevent people from gardening, having home gardens. I mean, I do, but I'm not sure my little fence around it is in compliance with the home association.
That's a good one. Other thoughts?
It'd be nice to have more, farm art markets besides the ones that we have. We've got the one in Old Town, the one at the city county extension office. Maybe there's some other ones I'm not aware of, but it'd be nice to have more of them located in parts of town that are easier for people to access, maybe that have lower income, access to good foods.
Or just the marketing piece of getting information out. Just when are they?
Yeah. That is a comment that we've been hearing consistently, just promotion of the existing markets and then growing markets. Yeah, a lot of people don't know when those are happening or where.
And what local restaurants are serving local food as well, if they're farming up.
Well, is homegrown local? Do they support local farm and gardeners or
I
all
think it's
that?
within like the amount radius, or
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like from that certain radius that they get all their product from.
The definition of local is kind of fuzzy as well.
Okay.
So some people consider local to be within 400 miles. Some people consider local to be within 100 miles. So there's not a consistent definition of what local food actually is. Yeah, there's a decent number of restaurants that will buy local produce, but do you know which ones those are?
No.
Elderslie.
That is a farm-to-table restaurant,
Yeah.
yes, yep, in Keachai, Park City.
But it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
If you go to Portland, they're all.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, farm-to-table restaurants really haven't hit the rage here yet.
Yeah.
And maybe it's more of a lack of providers that can really access it easily and affordably, right?
We love our chains here, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we had a little, like on a Thursday night, pop-up, people would bring their, maybe one or two brought their tomatoes and some other, garden produce to sell in the neighborhood. Is that something that y'all have been in touch with the neighborhood associations about to see if, because this is just like a little neighborhood, business, Four Corners, where they've got some little neighborhood businesses where this has popped up.
Well, one of the things that we've heard about situations just like that is people don't know the rules for what they're allowed to sell and to whom they're allowed to sell it. So that is another issue that we found. Is people just don't know, can I grow something in my backyard and sell it off my front porch? Yeah.
Have you guys considered about the stability issue? I mean, let's face it, you got a big food grocer like Kroger's, you don't have to worry about them, one day deciding they don't wanna grow a garden that year, or their health goes bad, they can't do it anymore. But these small local growers, I mean, don't you have to worry about that? And maybe they'll be there for a few years and then they'll disappear or get out of the business, then what do you do?
So that does speak to a larger issue with the number of growers that we have locally. One of the things we're looking at is the ability to increase local production. What is the barrier there to being able to increase local production? Right, with a company like Cisco, you can order whatever you want and you're gonna get it when you need it, but that is a barrier for some of the local, smaller farms.
Well, especially with the weather.
Right.
So would that be also training on behalf of like the VOTEC? I'm saying, hey, here's another potential career path for all you youngins, millennials, up and comers.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'm not sure that we've heard that one yet. And again, I should say that we're not here to promote any one idea or one path. We're just here gathering feedback for what are the barriers preventing more local produce and access, things like that.
Zoning code serves because you just can't sell it. Somebody wants to have a stand in front of their business, they can't necessarily do that if they're an office and they're not zoned for commercial. It's really a big obstacle.
Yeah, that's one we hear a lot. And the other thing we hear is that the people who really need to know the answers to those types of questions don't know where to turn to find them as well.
Maybe the city could open up designated areas where there's parking lots and in front of areas where there's not a lot of activity, it's an abandoned building, whatever, and those could be designated places where all the producers could bring their products instead of it just being. Is there more than just the 2 locations that I'm aware of for farmer markets? And increase the frequency, you know, so it's something somebody can go to daily and not just.
Lincoln Heights
once
has
a
one
week.
once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just heard today of one that may be proposed for Delana, over by Seneca. So it's part of the bike path plan that's going through there. So again, you gotta have enough producers to
Right.
support all the local markets. So that's kind of a challenge as well.
I don't know what their income is.
Well, right, so what are the
Producers
barriers
export,
that keep
yeah.
people out of that career field?
Knowledge. Land costs.
Seasons.
And then stability, you know?
And then the
Kansas
old
weather.
greenhouses and such too, to grow year round.
Any other thoughts on that?
Has anyone suggested putting farm markets in low-income neighborhoods?
So we do have a couple of community gardens in some lower income neighborhoods. One's down over at, it's still there over by the Wichita Mall. And then there was one in the more central area, but I don't know how they are. It's been a while since I visited one, so.
Generally, rich people are buying it.
Well, and one barrier to community gardeners we've heard is irrigating that land for a community garden, which can be expensive. See, on that back table, I have some more sheets, but in front of you, you should have a goal ranking sheet. That is a 2-sided sheet, and one side it asks you to rank the goals for your family. The other side it asks you to rank the goals for the community as a whole, because maybe those don't always line up. Basically, what do you think is most important out of these things highlighted? The steering committee tried to come up with several things that they thought would be important when looking at the food system, trying to see if that aligns with what the community feels as well. And I would encourage all of you as well to grab one of those before you leave here if you don't already have one and fill those out. Any questions or comments about these things?
What's the survey email or website?
So wichita.gov/food plan. And again, that's where you can find a link to the survey in English and Spanish. We only have about 4 Spanish surveys completed, so if you have any inroads, please help us share with that community. Also, here it says attend a roundtable community meeting. We have a couple more dates. There's one of those coming up this week on Wednesday. It's going to be at the downtown YMCA. That one is specifically centered around building on our community's food culture and supporting health and wellness. Then at the end of April, at the Kansas Food Bank on the 23rd, there's one about increasing access to healthy food, fostering social equity. Those are we like to get a head count, so if you're interested in those events, there's more information on that landing page on wichita.gov, and there's a way for you to RSVP to those as well. Any questions for Shelley or I, or additional feedback?
What, just curious,
Yeah.
fostering social equality, equity, sexual orientation? What's that have to do with?
Well, I mean, social equity, this is specific to food, so like, making sure everyone has access regardless of their station, basically. Do you have a better answer to that, Shelley?
So just transportation, safety to get to where they're at, to where food is. You know, we've heard a lot, and I know that there's a presentation to City Council recently about, you know, the areas in North Wichita where they don't have grocery stores. So just making sure
Well, I
that
understand that.
everybody in our community has access.
But sexual orientation, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but just my view.
It's on this sheet, it's one of, under fosters social equity, one of the,
I know race.
it says race, gender,
Yeah.
economic status,
Status.
and sexual orientation, etc.
I don't know why sexual orientation has anything to do with food, but just my thoughts.
All the groups.
Yes.
All the groups. Like, talking about, you know, healthy food,
Make sure no one's being left
producers and
out.
all that. Does that take in like bread products?
Discriminate people on sexual orientation based on food.
Bakery and things, and there's a, yeah, up on North Waco, they got Mexican.
I can't link those.
I know.
There might be more of those, you know, I don't know if that fits in what you're aiming at.
Yeah, yeah, and we've had some of those stakeholders invited to participate in some of these roundtables as well.
For the same sex.
I think the term is value-added products, right? Yeah, yeah, that definitely is a part of this as well.
Have they expressed what they see as problems of getting more of their product to the front of the consumer?
Yeah, the first roundtable discussion we had was centered around the growers and then some of the chefs in the area talking about the issues that they face.
Okay,
All right,
Thanks, Cory.
thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Appreciate it. Next, we have Kathy Morgan. There's Kathy. MAPD.
They do.
So Kathy Morgan for the Planning Department. The case that you have before you is a zone change from SF5 to limited industrial to expand an existing wrecking and salvage yard up on North Hoover Road at 3101 North Hoover Road. It also has a conditional use with it because wrecking and salvage requires a conditional use according to the zoning code. This case has been heard by the planning commission. It was heard February 20th. And there was, the commission took it by consent item agenda. There was no one in the surrounding neighborhood that had any objections. I received no phone calls or any questions about the expansion of this existing wrecking and salvage yard. They've been in business since prior to 1968, because I had gone through historical aerials, and you could see the growth of the business. And so they have some conditional, or some conditions that they have to follow that is typical of wrecking and salvage yards, like since this property is not platted, if they would build a new structure on the site, they'd have to plat. They would have to, if they platted, they would have to do a drainage plan so you see along that north property line, there is an easement there that has, existing trees on both sides of that easement that allows access into an Evergy, property that they have to go back in there. And so that separates that from another, SF5 property to the north, which is undeveloped. It's not got anything, on that piece of land at this point. So the recommendation of staff was to approve the zone change and the conditional use with the conditions outlined in the staff report. And the agent is here if you have any, specific questions about this. This is the Sandlian, Iron and Metal Works business up on North Cooper Road. And I'll answer any questions.
Are they gonna tear down the existing house or not?
They will at some point, yeah,
Eventually.
they will at some point. Right now, they're planning on just, they've got salvaged cars around it, but, at some point, yes, they will.
And what about upgrading the existing office too?
Not that I'm aware of, that's
Just
just,
a fresh paint job or something.
well, that's not something that we can do with zoning, require them to do that. You might make a personal, request from them to freshen up their paint job. But, no, the existing office is gonna remain where it is at 3059, just south of that where they're expanding. So they have plenty of parking there and good access to Hoover.
So Kathy, occasionally I will see a vehicle that's been damaged or salvaged parked in that lot. Is there a limit as to how long it can stay in that lot before it has to move back behind the fence?
Yes, there is. It's, generally, I wanna say it's up to 72 hours, but in my experience, it's been less than.
Yeah, they don't last very long.
Yeah.
They move very
Yeah.
quick, but
Yes.
I've been asked that before. I will tell you, I've never gotten any complaints about this property from anyone in the 5 years I've been on council, but I occasionally get the question about, I see the car there, how long can it stay? So.
Yeah, they
But
generally
it
move
usually
it
is
back
pretty quick.
behind into the wrecking and salvage area pretty quickly because it's unsecured out there in their parking lot, so they have to allocate a space for it behind the security fence.
One of my best friends lives in that high dollar neighborhood at 29th and Ridge. He doesn't have a problem with it.
There's a lot of expensive homes right there at Sandcrest, so.
So the disposal of
And
all
no
the
one's
oil
anything?
or gas or anything of the vehicles, where's that gonna be disposed of?
They have a plan for that. They have to report to the Environmental Protection Agency, and there's a state office that they have to, report to and whatever. So they've been, like I said, they've been operating there since before 1968. There are no, environmental, like we have the Gilbert Mosley area that has groundwater contamination, that type of thing. There's nothing up in that area where, there's any contamination areas, so.
Kill the dump leaks.
Yeah, well, that has everything to do with this.
Yeah, it's covered in item 13, conditional stuff, so.
And item 12, because they have to have ongoing inspections for all those things.
Drill well.
Yeah.
So I know we don't have a quorum, but I would still like to know what the body thinks. So you can make a motion and approve or not, but.
Is there any comment from the board or the audience?
And
Anybody from the audience?
Any questions, there's no reason for me to make a presentation, unless you want, I'll be happy to.
No, I could good. Okay, somebody wanna make a motion?
Everybody's looking at me.
I'll make a motion
I can
to
motion.
endorse it.
I have a motion to approve based on staff comments. It's completely, pretty much surrounded by, if you look at the aerial, by the salvage yard anyway, and there's no complaints, so I would move to approve based on staff comments.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign? There you go.
And up to keep the existing office.
Yeah, you paint, Greg go out and paint the building on Saturday.
I'm sure Greg will give you a paintbrush and some paint if you
No,
want.
no, Greg's gonna paint it on Saturday.
That's what I got lined up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay.
Last
Any other
thing,
things?
I want to host a dab night at the stadium. So I sent out a couple of dates for you to bring your significant other, in May. But the city does have a box, and you'll be responsible for your own food and drink, but, I might buy some snacks or something. But, so be looking for that email, again, probably a Friday or Saturday night. There's gonna be a lot of demand early on, but we're getting close. We turn the stadium over to the team later this month. Yep, so a couple of weeks.
I think they took off the winter
And then
map.
First home game's the 14th of April. Sorry, Trey?
I said, I think they took off the winter map, at least I saw a picture.
Yeah, they took off the winter mat today, and yes, they've been painting the grass, so it looks unnaturally green right now. It's, you all got, those of you that got to take the tour, it's amazing.
Yeah, it
I
really is.
think Wichita's going to be very impressed once it's open.
Well,
Some of
thank you
the-
for hosting the tour.
Yeah.
Some of the art elements that are getting added to it are really gonna make it our own and really unique to Wichita. And, if you follow baseball at all, the Marlins farm team is gonna be one of the better ones. So we're gonna have some really good talent coming through Wichita, so.
I actually have their magnets with their whole schedule. I send magnets out to them on Friday, we got the whole baseball schedule on the magnets.
So be looking for that coming up too.
So I compliment the city for doing it right.
Yeah, it's.
Looking really
you
nice.
know, and we continue to hear about other things happening around, and you see buildings coming up out of downtown right now.
Yeah.
The Fidelity Parking Garage is coming right along, the steel structure is finished on the IMA building, the two EPC properties, or you see them rising, the Hutton building, it's gonna be very cool.
Any naming?
They pretty much sold everything except the stadium name.
Right.
So for right now, it's probably just gonna be called Riverfront Stadium.
So Fidelity got the garage.
So, on the stadium itself, Fidelity has the, suite along the third base line, and Emprise has the party deck in center field. And then there's naming rights throughout the stadium and a whole bunch of other places, but the stadium itself does not have a name yet. They're still working that. Like I said, for now, we're just gonna refer to it as Riverfront Stadium, rather than Lawrence Dumont or anything
Who would
like
get
that.
the money from the stadium name? City?
So of the stadium naming rights, the city gets the first 250,000, and they get everything after that.
So what are they asking?
So they've been asking, well, they haven't got anything yet, so.
Yeah, I know, they've been asking.
For
Obviously
six
too high.
figures, they are still going to, even though they don't have this is really the right thing for them to do. Even though they don't have a naming sponsor, they're going to go ahead and pay the city that first 250 for this year. And so, for everybody that says it's $1 an acre, it's not. They are holding fast to their end of the deal and paying us our portion of the naming rights, even though they don't have a naming sponsor.
Would the
So-
city get that every year?
Yes, 250 every year.
250 every year.
In addition to the 350 a year we get in rent from them, which before we used to get $25,000 a year. Now we're getting $350,000 a year in rent. So right there, between
What's
those
250?
two, you know, 600 grand. Where before we were getting 25 grand. And then on top of all that, they put $3.3 million in furniture, fixtures, and equipment that stays with the stadium. So all the kitchen and concession equipment, all the, you know, the tables and chairs for the suites, et cetera, all of that, it's $3.5 million. They are also have to do all the development of the property around it. And if they don't hit it by certain deadlines, it comes back to the city for us to remarket to somebody else. So
And
it's
that-
much more than that $1 an acre.
And that property would be on tax rolls too.
Exactly.
Good.
Yep. And generating sales tax.
Mhm.
I had a group ask me, they said they were disappointed because they weren't allowing their group to work the concession stands for fundraisers.
So again.
It's all being outsourced.
So the team is operating the stadium and
Right.
everything
They
within
control
the
it.
stadium.
Right, the state doesn't
Right.
control it.
That way they can be consistent with their product and their quality. They have liability issues
That's what I told
that
them.
they have to, be able to maintain. They have standards as it relates to Major League Baseball. And so they have to have complete control over everything. That's security, that's ticket takers, that's concessions. Everything throughout the stadium will be an employee of the ball team. And that's why they have to do it that way.
They will allow fundraisers to offer concessions.
They are gonna do some things. There will be special nights and so forth.
He explained to us how they do it,
Yeah.
so they already.
So there is that opportunity, but it's still gonna be by their direction. They have 107 points of sale throughout the stadium. So whether it's food or souvenirs or whatever, 400 people are gonna work there, so.
Good party.
JV's gonna do a beer guy one night, right?
A what?
A beer guy.
The mascot beer run?
You're gonna be, you're gonna.
I said, I wanna be a beer guy one
He's
one
gonna be
game.
the seat of beer guy.
I did. Beer man.
Dance on the dugout.
No, they are doing a fundraiser for Guadalupe Clinic.
Yeah.
That's-
There's gonna
yeah.
be special promotions and so
So
forth.
June 25th, Thursday night, so.
Remember that guy that used to be there,
Dancing Charlie.
Dancing Charlie, you wanna do that one night?
Okay, we're still on Facebook Live, so.
Can't do that, no. Can't do that.
No dancing with JB tonight.
No, can't do that. Don't wanna see JB dance.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
I think we're adjourned. Good.